to chat with. And at this point, I'm just going to switch over real quick to the interface and see if anybody's got anything for me. Just looking for one or two of you guys to go ahead and give me the thumbs up that the audio is working clearly, and thank you very much, Debbie. Wonderful. Thanks, Michelle. Excellent, excellent. All right, so there aren't very many slides here, just a couple. First of all, for those of you I haven't met before, that's my smiling face. That's the face you don't have to look at for the next half an hour, and that's my email address, neil@nactraining.com. If you found this, you almost certainly have seen my email address lying around someplace. Do feel free to use that email address after the session should you guys need any further clarifications. In addition to that, I will be posting this on YouTube later, so you guys can watch the recording over and over again and see what it is that you missed the first time around. Now, today's session is specifically about slide masters and slide layouts. I described this particular presentation as being about creating consistent PowerPoint slides, and the way that we create consistent PowerPoint slides, or the way that we bring consistency to PowerPoint decks that are inconsistent, that are all over the map, is we work with the slide masters and slide layouts of that presentation. So with this short period of time, I'm just going to go ahead and show you exactly how to work with slide masters, how to work with slide layouts, what the concepts are in there, and then ultimately how to fix things that are already broken. Because sometimes you want to move forward and just make smart decisions from the very beginning, and other times you're being given decks where people have made incorrect choices and you want to be able to clean those up. So we'll do both of those here over the next half an hour, and then after the session, feel free to shoot emails at me as well. Okay, that's the end of my slide deck. Let's go ahead and talk PowerPoint, everybody. So this is PowerPoint 2010. The techniques I'm going to show you here are almost exactly identical with PowerPoint 2007 and PowerPoint 2013, as well as PowerPoint 2011 and 2008 for the Mac. And if you have a really old version of PowerPoint, things are a little bit different, but not a lot different. So it all comes down to this. If this is your PowerPoint presentation, the first thing that you want to do is decide on a background, decide on a font, decide on a set of colors, things like that. And in your newer versions of Microsoft PowerPoint, those are all done by going to the Design tab up at the top of the screen and picking what's called a theme. Now, when you go to your Themes area up at the top of the screen, you'll notice that there is a drop-down menu over on the side, and that you can choose from a wide range of different themes that Microsoft gives you automatically, these built-in themes, or as you can see here, I've actually created custom themes in the past. And for those of you unfamiliar with this concept of what a theme is a set of colors, a background, a set of fonts, all of those aesthetic choices that you would apply to your PowerPoint presentation. So you probably have a corporate theme, or it's possible that if you're working for yourself or if you're unemployed right now, that you would want to use one of the themes that Microsoft gives you, or if you're really creative like I am, that you might want to create your own theme from scratch. But that's not really where we're at right now. Where we're at today is choosing a theme and working within that. So let's go ahead and look at one of these themes. Let's say this one. Okay, so we have a theme chosen, and as you can see here, there is a title area on the title slide, a little subtitle area. And then if I make more presentations, I can very quickly and easily make some new slides and maybe spell things correctly. And then maybe make a couple more. Alright, so at this point in the presentation, we've built out a few slides, we've chosen a theme, we've got a color scheme going, we've got fonts going. When you look at it, you'll decide things like, gee, this font is maybe a little small. Or you'll decide things like, I'd really rather have a different type of bullet point, things like that. And many of the problems that we face in PowerPoint come from the fact that when people get to this stage right here, the stage where you're going from I need to insert something to the stage where you need to fix something, where you need to change something, where you need to tweak something, they make those decisions incorrectly. So let me describe exactly what an incorrect decision is. If I go to slide number 3 and I highlight the text on slide number 3 here so that I can increase the font size a little bit, let's say that big, then I will have changed slide number 3 and I'll think slide number 3 is great. But the problem is then when I go to slide number 2 still has the smaller font size. And maybe you decide, hey, no, slide number 2 and slide number 3 should have different font sizes. But what if you want to make slide number 4? Should slide number 4 have the font size from slide number 3 or the font size from slide number 2? Then you get into those inconsistencies. So this comes in with font size, as you can see here. As you can see, if I change it from Franklin Gothic to a different font altogether, it goes with font. It maybe goes with changing to a different bullet point, anything under the sun. So slide number 2 has my smaller font size, has my standard font, and has my little blocky bullet points. Slide number 3 I changed. I went with a bigger font, I went with a different font, I went with a different bullet point. But when I go to slide number 4, I see this is the same. So slide number 2 and slide number 4 are using a standard choice. Slide number 2 and slide number 4 are exactly the same in every way, shape, and form. And most of the time, we want that to be the case. We want slide number 2, 3, and 4 to all look the same. Now, maybe you don't want it to look like this, but you want them all to look the same. You want to have that kind of consistency. So when we talk about being able to change all the slides at the same time, we're talking about using what's called the slide master. So I'm going to, at this point, go to the View tab up at the top of the screen, and you'll see that Slide Master is here on the left. Now, I was telling you guys earlier that PowerPoint 2007, 10, and 13 all work the same. That View tab has a Slide Master button on it. If you've got an old version of PowerPoint, you're going to want to go to the View menu, and you'll see Slide Master in it. Okay. So we click on Slide Master, and what we see is that the thing over on the left kind of looks the same, but it kind of doesn't look the same. You see this? So these are what we call the Slide Master here on the top, and the individual slide layouts directly below that. The Slide Master, as you can see, doesn't have content in it. If I click on that Slide Master, it just looks like all of my slides. But if I click on Close Master View here on the Slide Master tab, I go back to my normal presentation that has all the contents in it. So that's the first thing that everybody needs to be 150% on. When we're working in PowerPoint, there is an interaction where we insert stuff, where we type in text and things like that. That's the standard interaction that we've got already. And then there's a second one. There's the how do we get to the template behind the scenes for how stuff looks. And we get there by going to View and Slide Master. We under no circumstances insert content into the Slide Master. The Slide Master is all about how things look. And then we close the Slide Master, again by clicking on Close Master View, so that we can go back to the place where we insert new stuff. So every time that we work with Slide Masters, we're working with the look and feel of that slide, not with the actual content of that slide. I'm going to stop here, ask everybody how they're doing. Anybody have any questions, curiosities, concerns? Anybody have any trouble? Beautiful. So what's the next step? The next step is we go to View, we go to Slide Master, and we make a change. Now if you'll notice, over here on the left, there is a big slide on top and the smaller slides below. And I've described that to you as being the slide master on top and the slide layouts below that. And the idea here is that the slide master, the number 1 up on the top, is going to control most of the big picture items. But then as you make your presentation, there are always going to be these different types of slides. So here is a title slide layout, and here is a content slide layout. And you can see that at different points in time in our presentation, we've used the title slide layout and we've used the content slide layout. But both of them get their guidance about what their fonts are from the slide master up on top. So let's see that in action. Let's say that instead of this font here in the title area, I wanted to use a different font. What I could do is click on the slide master on top, then click on the box that has the font in it for the title, and change that font from Franklin Gothic to, let's say, Cambria. And then let's make it bold. Excellent. At this point in the process, you can see that I've changed the font on the slide master up on the top. But then when I go to the individual slide layouts, you see that it's changed the font here, and it's also changed the font here as well. So changing the master up on top changes the layouts for different types of slides. And then secondly, when I go to my slide master tab up on the top of the screen, and I click on Close Master View, I see that it has impacted every single slide of my presentation. And that is what we're looking for. We're looking for that presentation where every slide has that consistency of font, of size, of color, of position, of all of those things. So once again, I go to View, I go to Slide Master, and let's say that I only wanted to change the title slides. If I clicked on the layout for the title slides, I could decide that the subtitle over here on the side for the title slides was maybe a different size. So I'll go to this font, I'll select it, and I'll make it just a little bit smaller. And so now it's 14-point font over here on the side. That has not impacted any of the other layouts because none of the other layouts take anything from that layout there. But this layout is the layout that's in control of my title slide. So I'll click on Close Master View, and sure enough, when I go to slide number 1, I see that it has decreased the font size on my title slide. And any other time I make a new title slide, let's say after slide number 4, I make a new title slide, I see that that font size is still that smaller font size over here. So changing a layout affects the different slides that use that layout. Changing the slide master changes all the slides because the slide master is the granddaddy of them all. It's the thing that controls every single slide in your entire presentation. Now the problem though is when you get into this issue right here, where on slide number 2 we have this font, and on slide number 3 we have a different font. We have a different bullet point. We have a different size. It's at that point when we go to, again, View, Slide Master, and let's say that I went to the font on my Slide Master and I decided to make this font size a little bit bigger. Let's say I wanted to make it 36-point font. And let's say that I wanted to change that bullet point. I'll go to the bullet point and I'll say that I want to use these arrows as my bullet point, and maybe even change the indentation a little bit. Okay. So I've changed the font size for the content text to 36-point font. I've changed the bullet point to this little arrow right here. Now what happens to the rest of the presentation? Again, I go to the Slide Master tab up at the top of the screen. I click on Close Master View, and I see that on slide number 2, my font size is 36. So the font size here is 36 points. And the bullet point is that arrow that I decided to use. I go to slide number 4. I get the same exact thing. This is the same as slide number 2, 36-point font and an arrow bullet point. So life is good. But what happens on slide number 3, that slide that I changed? As you can see here, it did not change the bullet point because I had the bullet point set very specifically on this slide. So there's our first problem. When we change the slide master, if somebody's gone to one of the slides in our presentation and made a change to it, well, then the slide master can't change that thing because we've chosen that slide to be very special and unique. So the way we fix this is by using the reset button. If I go to slide number 3 and I go to the area that has my new slide button on it, you'll see that there is a very simple reset button sitting right here. And that reset button will, in fact, as you can imagine, change everything back to the way it was from the slide master. So let's see that in action if we were to get this from one of our coworkers. Here we've got a presentation where on the first slide we have this font and this bullet point. But on the second slide we have a different bullet point. On the third slide we have a different bullet point. On the fourth slide we go back to the original bullet points. So these are all over the map. Different fonts, different bullet points, different sizes, absolutely everything is messed up. Now we definitely want to change things about this presentation. So we definitely want to go to View and Slide Master and change the Slide Master so that the font size is maybe different, maybe 36-point font, and maybe I want to use a very special bullet point. That's fine. But in doing so, I recognize that all of those slides have been customized away from the Slide Master. They each are doing their own thing, and they aren't listening to the Slide Master anymore. So when I go to the Slide Master tab and I click Close Master View, I see that some of the slides have listened. Some of the slides' font have gotten bigger, the bullet points have changed, but other slides haven't listened. They don't have a different font, they don't have a different bullet point, and that's because each of those has been customized away from the Slide Master. So when you get one of these decks from your coworker and you want to make sure that you are completely clean, here's how you do it. You go down to the bottom right-hand corner of the screen. You find the view called the Slide Sorter View. It's that button right there. Now when you go to the Slide Sorter View, what it's going to allow you to do is see all of the slides all at the same time and select all of those slides at the same time. So let's give that a shot. I'll click on the Slide Sorter View. You see all the slides are now available. I'm going to use the keyboard shortcut Control A. And what that does is it highlights all of the slides in gold. Alternatively, I could have clicked on slide number 1, held down the Shift key, and clicked on slide number 7, and as you can see, it again selects all the slides at the same time. All those slides have the gold boxes surrounding them. So my methods for selecting all the slides are either Control A, as in select all, or click on slide number 1, hold down the Shift key, and click on slide number 7. In either of those two scenarios, you end up with all the slides selected all at the same time. And then you can again hit that reset button that we found earlier today. By clicking the reset button and having all of those selected simultaneously, you can now see that every single slide has the same square bullet point, has the same font size, has the same font choice, and we have a consistent presentation. Whether you like the look of this presentation or not is completely secondary to this conversation. What the most important thing here is that every slide uses the same formatting, so it looks like it's consistent and from the same company, and that way we can then make our smart choices about how to change the look and feel. Now I've done a lot of stuff here in the last 10 minutes, so I'm going to stop, see if anybody's got any questions. Anybody need any clarifications about anything? Anybody need to unmute their lines or use the chat box to ask me a question? Lovely. So moving forward, there is one other feature that you can use for much the same reason. So let me go in here and select a little bit of this text and maybe change its color. Yeah, I'll make it orange. Sure, that's fine. And then I'll select a little bit of this text and I'll decide to bold it. And I'll select a little bit of this text and I'll choose to italicize it. Okay. Now you could decide that you want to hit the reset button on this slide. Let's go ahead and take a look at what would happen there. So I've changed the font on the word agenda here in the second bullet point. I've changed the font on the third bullet point. I've changed the font on the fourth bullet point. When I hit the reset button, you'll see that all three of those choices have gone away, which could conceivably be what you want. But let's back up here a second. And let's imagine that you actually did want the third bullet point to be bolded, but you just didn't want to use the word agenda here in orange. Instead of hitting the reset button, where the reset button, once again, here, changes the entire slide to be exactly like your original slide master was. You have here in your font group the clear formatting button. The clear formatting button kind of looks like a piece of chalk, but it's supposed to be an eraser, I believe. And when you click on that clear formatting button, while having the word agenda highlighted, you'll see that it, in fact, takes the orange off the word agenda. If I highlight the word item where it's italicized and I hit the clear formatting button, again, that clears the formatting off of that individual bit of text and allows it to be the same as the rest of the presentation. So I want to be very clear about this. I recognize that there are a lot of times when individual slides need to have these special little differences. That's not what I'm harping on. What I'm harping on is that problem where you get tons of slides and it seems like every single slide is a little bit different and it's just all over the map. Different fonts, different colors, different sizes, different arrangements. And when that happens, you hit the reset button. That just goes ahead and clears everything out. In this situation, though, if you only wanted to unbold the words agenda item, you could highlight only the words agenda item and then hit the clear formatting button up at the top of the screen and keep the word third bolded. So that's a completely relevant way of working. Again, anytime that you want to change the font for the rest of the presentation, it's clicking View at the top of the screen, clicking on Slide Master, and making the alterations. And remember that when you go to slide number 1 up on top, that is the slide master for every single slide in the entire presentation. And then subordinate to that are the individual layouts for special types of slides within the presentation. If I change the slide master up on top to use a different bullet point on the top level bullets, maybe by going here and changing it to dots, for example, changing it on the slide master, slide number 1 over here on the left, will then change it on the slide layout because the slide layout directly comes from the slide master. And in the same way, when I click on slide master and I close the master view, every single slide in the presentation gets that same set of bullet points because they all inherit from that same slide master as well. Now the next problem that I'm going to tackle comes in like this. Let's say that you are making two presentations at the same time. You take this presentation, put it over here on the left, and take this presentation, put it over here on the right. Alright, so I've decided that I need slide number 4 from the right-hand side to go into the presentation on the left. A lot of times people will do this. They'll copy and paste slides into the new presentation, and then it'll keep some of that formatting, and they won't like the end result. So let's give that a shot. I'll click on slide number 4 here on the right side. Just a quick copy, Control-C, or however you like to copy is fine. And then I'll click over here on the left. And on the left, I'll decide to paste, Control-V. Now if you notice, immediately upon pasting, the slide on the left looks like it belongs into this presentation, even though you can obviously see that it's the slide we copied from the right-hand side because it has the text. This is the same as slide number 2. Now, if you get a bit of confusion here as to whether it's the right thing to do or not, notice that there is a little icon down here at the bottom of your slide that says the word control in it, or rather the abbreviation control in it. And this is your paste options button. When I click on my paste options button, you'll see that by default, what's happening is this first selection, which is what we call paste using the destination formatting. The slide deck that we're pasting it into is deciding what that theme is going to be. The second one is use the source formatting, which says I want to keep the presentation's formatting from where I'm pasting it from. So let's see what those two different options look like. When I click the control button and choose the second selection, you see it goes back to looking like it belongs in the presentation on the right. But when I click on that control button and click the first option again, it again looks like it belongs to the presentation on the left. So in copying and pasting these into your existing presentations, you want to make sure that you use the destination formatting and not the source formatting by looking for that little control button right there. Now what happens if you accidentally paste it in using the source formatting and you want to go back? Let's just take that and then I'll go back and take questions in a second. So here I have slide number 3, which is obviously not the same as the rest of the slides. If I go to slide number 3 and I click the layout drop-down menu, you'll see that the theme that's being used on slide number 3 is up here on the top, and the theme that's being used on all the other slides are right down here. So I can very easily, by using the layout drop-down menu, reapply this title and content formatting from my existing presentation and thereby sort of fix everything that's going on. So let me back that up again. If you paste something in that's using a different theme altogether, you can use the layout drop-down menu to go from the theme that you don't want here to the theme that you do want here. And that will clean everything up for you. Alright, so that's working with slide masters and slide layouts. I want to stop here and ask anybody if anybody's got any questions, any curiosities, any points of contention, anything I can help you out with. Alright, I'm going to take the silence as a good thing. Everything's going smoothly. I'll just go ahead and finish off with a quick rundown and a quick conversation about what you could be doing in the future. So our first point is that in every presentation, when working on all the slides simultaneously, you want to go to the View tab at the top of the screen and click on Slide Master. If you're in PowerPoint 2003 or earlier, you want to go to the View menu, click on Masters, and click on Slide Master. That will allow you to change the slide master for this presentation in some way, shape, or form. If one of your slides has a change away from the slide master, say for example in font, well then you can adjust that. You can fix that by selecting the slide and hitting reset. Alternatively, if you only have a little bit of text that you would like to change in some way, maybe change its color for example, you can use the clear formatting button here at the top of the screen in order to do that clear formatting task. And that will go ahead and fix all the problems that you have about individual slides and individual snippets of text within those slides. Now, I want everybody to also begin to feel comfortable with this idea that whenever you create a new slide in PowerPoint now, you're using one of the existing layouts in your PowerPoint presentation. So you can see here title slide, title and content, to content, etc. If I go into View to Slide Master, I'll see all of those individual layouts as we work along in here. And if there is a layout that is not yet created that you would like to leverage, you can absolutely make a new layout for yourself. So let me again click on Close Master View. Click the New Slide drop-down menu, and you'll see that we've got title and content, title only, blank, things like that. Well, what happens if I want to have a slide with a nice blank background like this, but a nice big content box on it? What I can do is click on View and go to Slide Master. And right up here at the top, I can actually choose to make myself a brand new layout. So I'm going to click on Insert Layout here. I'm going to go ahead and put in a placeholder for, let's say, a chart, right smack dab in the middle here. And then I'm going to take this slide layout, and right up here at the top, I'm going to choose to rename it and call it my chart layout. When I click on rename and I call it chart layout, from now on, when I open this presentation up and I go to my new slide drop-down menu, notice that amongst all the other things that I can make, I've got this new type of slide called the chart layout slide. So think about what your presentation needs to have in it, needs to look like. Make sure that your slide master and your slide layouts look the way that you want them to look. And anytime something goes off the rails, remember the reset button and the clear formatting button, and everything should work a lot smoother. Lovely. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate your time and energy today. I don't want to keep any more of you from your busy lives, so I appreciate your time and energy. Please let me know if there's anything I can do for you. I will stay on the line for the next 5 minutes or so to answer any follow-up questions you might have, and expect to see this on YouTube a little bit later. I'll try to email everybody when that gets up. Thanks, Denise. Thanks, Michelle. Have a great day.